Alright guys, welcome as usual to Florida.net. This is our latest presentation. We'll be presenting today. We're going to present SignalR, live coding, building a quiz app. So we'll do a little live coding, so try not to laugh as I go through this. Who am I? Montero, 19 years doing this, yes. We love SignalR. What's things like that? And Florida.net's junior. So what is Florida.net? First, it's our sponsor, Sandine Spaces. It's a location you want, look to your left, and you'll see more about it. Florida.net. If you are here, you know what this is. Not just video on YouTube, everybody else. So I'll take a drink as I go here. I'm at a cafe here, enjoy myself. Florida.net has been around since 2001, really. We'll meet every sort of second or third Tuesday of the month. Check out our meetup.com and meetup.com/fla.net. We are sponsored by South Florida Code Camp. Now, South Florida Code Camp is something that has been created by a bunch of people that care about the community and has been running now for something over 10 years. And it's coming up March 2nd in a couple of weeks. So if you can, and if you haven't already done so, go to sfcodecamp.com. So that's SF as in South Florida, codecamp.com. If you've already signed up, sign up again. Make sure you fill up as many forms and tell everybody about it. This is the best organization you can have. Next month, Florida.net isn't just about web pages, that's what we learned about today. C# is much more. We learn how to do mobile applications will be amazing. Robert Palestri. Actually, now for a long time, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's going to be amazing. Stick around. If you wait until the end, you'll see not only what originally was my first SignalR sort of production product, this raffle. We will be giving away a raffle. We'll be utilizing this and we'll showcasing this at the very end. But today we're going to do a quiz. Alright, so let's get to it. What are we here for? SignalR and learning more about it. So, what is SignalR? First of all, you've seen it. You've seen it a million times, but it's not precisely this. It's what makes things real time. So you've seen a lot of presentations that will be about real time and WebSockets. So this presentation will be one of them. You've seen WebSockets because you've seen your Gmail get the latest and greatest emails. The second someone sends it to you, you grab it on your phone or you buy this phone, you press the send, and you get it on your email Gmail instantly now. You never thought about it, for sure, but it's the website updating itself. It's the server letting your client, your web browser, know something's changed. So this is what is the magic. I've seen it also perhaps on stock market websites, that things change instantly with real information or something live. This is not something that gets sort of pulled by the client. It's something that gets pushed by the server. The server has a new stock price, a new price, a new information it wants to send you, a notification, if you will. If you're still logged onto the website, you can send it using SignalR. WebSockets are instant and they make a lot of sense. Now, let's see what they make the most out, as you can see here in this screenshot, is chat applications. And most of the things when we talk about SignalR WebSockets, real-time notification, they do chat. And I don't think that's enough. I think I want to showcase it using a different kind of way. We'll be doing it using a real quiz app, but we'll start with my. So what is a quiz app? And what we're going to do is we're going to make it a simple quiz app. It's going to be nothing fascinating. If you want something more, stick out to the end, and I'll explain to you where you can find out a full course with 12 steps and 12 videos that shows you how to make a professional-looking quiz app that looks gorgeous. Is using C# and it's using JavaScript, all that, and it's ready for you to go. Let's talk about our quiz app. Because of the fact that we have a limited time for this online presentation, we'll be making 2 pages. The main screen, which will be the one that gets shown on the stage. Let's go like that right now. So let's the stage. The stage. Stage. Stage page. So you can think about this as we're going to be presenting the screen that's going to go up here, and you guys will see not only the questions, so you guys can see it on the screen and yell out the answers if this was that kind of a quiz. but you can also see the winners. We'll also implement in here what normally you wouldn't have implemented on a sort of a large screen that shows up on a bar or something like that. We'll be presenting a next button. We'll also put a lot of the logic of the who is right, who is wrong in this particular page. We'll see that in a second. What makes it a real-time application is that we will do two things. We will both go ahead and make a mobile screen. That will be the player screen. Players screen. So this will be something that you will hold on your phones and you will be able to go live with these things and help me out with these things as we go live. And we will be able to go ahead and put you in your name and submit the answers with buttons. And all this will be live. So as we see things button come on this main stage, you will all be able to look down at the exact same time and see it on your phone. All right, live demo time. What I want you guys to do is follow me. I'll be doing the same thing here. You're welcome to simply watch and see me doing some live coding and making a lot of mistakes. I will have over here on my left-hand side, I do have a laptop with all the right answers. I'm going to show you something about the code where you can also have the right answers in front of you. If you wish to sort of skip and just sort of see what I'm doing, or see what I've done to get this working. But if you want to follow on, just simply go to github.com, obviously I'm sort of spelling it phonetically here on the stage. github.com/thedamian/SignalR basics, or simply remember that I'm Damian and this is the Damian that's making fun of you. Let's go ahead and do what he just said there. Let's go open up our web page and go to, oops, it wasn't a web page, that's a presentation. Go to github.com/thedamian/SignalR basics here. If you actually see here, you can see what I'm doing here. So github.com/thedamian/SignalR. That's what I've done, and that's where I have my SignalR basic example. Now, what I like to do for most of the presentations is sort of have a basic application that you can use in the future for learning about this technology, and this is it. All basic SignalR sort of applications, they end up doing a chat system. And this basic application is just that, a very, very basic chat system. We'll look at it in a second. In fact, let's look at it right now. We can go to my DOS prompt. I have a directory that there's nothing on. Again, that's to be clear. The fact that I'm using the Macintosh or Linux machine or Windows machine, this is .NET Core, and this is the beauty of .NET Core. I can use any other particular .NET. I'm also using Visual Studio Code, as you saw here when I was switching carefully to do code editing. Again, only for the purpose of the fact that you can do all this in Visual Studio. It is a lot easier in Visual Studio. We have to do the clone. It is a bit of a pain to set SignalR initially without Visual Studio. It's a matter of clicking and drag to do things in Visual Studio. So I highly recommend it, although I'm using it from this information. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the SignalR. And I'm going to go ahead and copy over here. If you never use Git, this is pretty much something we're going to learn a little bit about, but not too much. I'm going to go to my DOS prompt again. There's nothing in that directory. I'm going to go git clone, and I'm going to paste the information. And I've downloaded the whole web page, and if I look at what's going on here, I have a new directory. If I go into the new directory, I can see what's going on here. So that's the new directory. Now let me go on Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to go open, and I'm going to go to desktop, presentations, and SignalR. And there is my SignalR application. In your case, if you have Visual Studio, if that's what you're using, you will actually see that sort of Visual Studio. Bear with me. Visual Studio is actually going to ask you things like C# extensions and information like that. It also is going to suggest that you do a restore. So .NET Core restore. I clicked on restore, and I shouldn't have done this terminal-wise. But anyways, here's what we have here. This is our code. This is our information. And down the very bottom here, I have my terminal window. You can actually see the DOS prompt, the PowerShell, if you want to call it. That shows us the project. And we'll look a little bit about what the project is, but it's a very, very basic project, except for a couple of new things. It is a very basic Razor pages. So we're going to have something inside here, but the purpose of this WW direct is truly to have sort of a location for our JS and pages. We will also have some very basic, some standard information, in fact, with a single page. And then there is the common every single day seeing controller here. You guys all know this. You guys have it a million times. I don't describe any of this, or do I? Okay, so one of the things we've added though is we've added something in here. So let's look at this is C# again. This is not standard ASP.NET or .NET Core web pages or .NET VC. So we do have a startup.ts, and there is information in here. And this is one of the things that we've added in here in SignalR. As amazing as it is, that's pretty much all we've added. We've also added some information about it. All this was added the second we went to our unpackage or our NuGet and added SignalR. Following the instructions on a link that we have there at the very bottom of the meetup page, we'll let you know about it. It's also in the bottom of this video's description as well, should you be interested in it. All right, so that's all we've done. If you look at some references for SignalR, you'll see there's some roots, that's information about it, and we'll talk about this in a minute. We've added the using, we've told it MVC, we've done a core to use SignalR and utilize everything, and we've sort of set where something called the hubs are. Now the hubs can be thought of as channels or locations or chat hubs. Channels is what I'm using. So let's look at that directory. And you see there's a little bit of channels. There's a very, very basic class here with not much information and a single method. It is an async method, but it is just a class. And it's not standard. It seems to accept information. It's a string user and message. And you can picture that it says we talked about the chat information. We're talking about a quiz in a minute. But the standard, basic SignalR always chat messages. And you'll see that this gets called whenever a new chat message gets sent. And we'll have the concept of clients. In other words, everybody listening to our SignalR sort of WebSockets information. We don't do things with requests and things like that. So the controllers and things are out of the way. This is the only thing that gets communicated when it comes to SignalR. We'll see that we do things with the home control. We look at the home control, it does have an index, and there is an index of HTML that will show up there. We'll look at that in just a minute. But, what's important about the fact that this is a new kind of technology that's separate from sort of request and reply web pages is that we have our own methods that we call ourselves. This is not a custom, this is a custom method. This is not something that's standard. You can call this anything you'd like, and you can reply and tell everybody else, hey, for you guys, I'm going to send you a message, and it's this kind of a message. In this case, it's a receive message. So you can picture somebody else says send, and somebody else should be receiving. Okay? Nothing extraordinary so far. Okay, let's pause right now. An extra minute. Okay, so let's look at that. And look at the index.html. We'll see that it is a standard web page, nothing fancy about here. There's a couple of indexes, one here and one here. And there is no code. It's inside of a .js script. So that's it. As far as this is concerned, this is a very basic web page with some inputs and nothing more than it. There's a SignalR standard library. This is something that we inherited, or sorry, that we were using. And then our real code in this case lives in chat. Let's look at that code again in www. Okay, it's a little bit over convoluted, but there's only a couple of methods in here, and here's the basic ones to think about. Here's what this particular one. This is your major. This is a way to communicate to that chat hub controller right there in a synchronized or asynchronized method where it's instant. There's no building up of the HTML, no request, no CRUD or anything like that. So instant request to this information. Now ignore this line right here, and then we'll go ahead and say whenever there is a key typed in into the ignore this for just right now. It's actually a way to do something a little bit. So let's go ahead and look at this one. This looks familiar because we saw it a second ago in the chat. This was the call that was being called. Everybody was sent a message and told it's this kind of a message. And if you look carefully over here, it just matches the information here. So, in this connection, it's request. This talks about SignalR. So when this SignalR receives this or on this, do all this code. We'll look what that code does in a minute, but it's very, very basic. It just simply creates an LI for a new line. It cleans it up a little bit, combines a couple of things for exaggerated, and pretty much appends that to the list. So there's an element, there's a div inside over HTML file. Let's look for that. Here it is here. And it's a UL, so we can add allies to it, or adding the message that was delivered or sent to somebody else. This code, I guess, should be at the very top. Let's move that to the very top for our purposes right here. And let's move this to the bottom, because that's just doing a little bit of fancy work. Alright, so just let's do this. Alright, so here we are. I'm looking here at my cheating laptop here. So we have a very basic page here. Go ahead and say receive it. So when we see the message, we pretty much create an ally element and shove it into the messages. And this is JavaScript, so this is just a div that contains something to it. Very basic. And then the next thing happens is whenever we click on this button, it says send message, we go ahead and run this method. And I'll explain a little bit later why I didn't simply put all this code inside of it. The code just simply runs, looks at the elements, user input, which is the user's name, grabs the message, the same the user input, and sends those messages invoking the method send message. If that looks familiar, if you keep it to it, you keep it case. Okay, so this method that we're looking at here is on the server. It gets called utilizing SignalR. It does not use REST. It does not use anything that would take anything. These are open methods or open channels that are keeping there and are going to be kept open regardless of whether they can be connected, disconnected, whatever have you. If you went under a bridge and you reconnect a little bit later, this will know about it and still be able to be. So it's a way to instantly get in here. This could be done by a post. This is a lot easier in this case. Whenever this method gets called, it simply sends receive message. So you can see this little. Whenever I type something, click on send message. It's make a message. Well, on the server say send message with the user, that is me, whoever typing the message. The message, that send message over there, just simply grabs those two things, puts them together, and then puts them back on the receive message, which is the message. Not here, this one. Just call this over here, which is these understanding is to call users. Now, what we can do here is I'm going to do a little bit of a trick here. So let's go ahead which should normally be done ahead of time. Alright, a little bit of a trick. I'm going to go ahead and run this in the way that we want to run this. We normally would want to run this. So here we are on this server. Let's go see what's going on. So we go document watch, run, and instead of running it, which we run port HTTP 5000, that's the only way of doing things, or document 2.2 to 3.0, 5000, 5001, sorry. We're going to sort of force it for a reason here. Under the URL is localhost 5000. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start that. Is that right? Where else? Let's see. Running as well. Let's see if we have any problems here. Valid URLs. So let's do that. That's right. Okay, so we can see it and we see it in localhost. Now I can go ahead and go to my localhost. 5,000. Here it is running. There's our chat server. That's our chat server is. I'm going to put my name. I'm going to say it says hi.
Miami called the Venture Cafe. It's housed in this thing called the CIC.
Let's put this in and let's say, now that's not very exciting. When it says very exciting, you can put if you all out there.
But yeah, similar to very like very modern shared office space.
Sure.
Gorgeous.
Go to https demo.fla.com. Okay, that will come up nice and bright for you guys to see. Remember, it's demo.fla.net. So if we do that, we'll actually, it does seem to take a while from the beginning. But actually something we're doing magic. We're doing magic happens here. Forward all the information from this computer to the internet. Sometimes it's working, sometimes it doesn't. So in this case, let's say it does. Let's close this down. Let's go here. As this loads, we can actually say this is okay. So we can see that we have our tool. Another example here, different computer. This is like away. You would see that it says no. You would see that you guys in the future will be able to see exactly what's going on. Okay. So let's continue. So that's our chat system. It's not really exciting. I didn't do it in cloud code. Everything was kind of coded in there. Alright. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of example, something to do with Git. So let's look at the Git. As you know, there's several branches, and I have some special branches in here. Some special branches are the master, which is essentially following what I've promised here. It's a basics application. It's a basic chat application. It gives you everything you need to know. You can simply follow instructions here. .restart. You don't even have to do this. .run, and all of a sudden open up your port 5001 SSL and HTTPS, and you'll get the server you're looking for. In fact, you put it up to a web server. Okay. Now, utilizing it correctly here, the branches with different information. What we're going to be doing here is, if you'd like, and you want to see the final project that we're doing with the final quiz exactly as it runs, or if you want to follow along, you simply can switch to this and see the code over here in GitHub. Now, you might want to see that on your local host. So what you want to do on your local host, I'm saying in this particular code, is you want to do the following. This is our code. We're going to go git checkout quiz file. So this will switch everything. As you can see, there's some information right there. And you might have to sort of refresh the page here. On Visual Studio, some things will refresh on your computer, some things won't go, and you'll see a lot of changes. These are the things we will actually get running in the future. And if you wish, you can run what's going on inside here. And what it's going to look like, essentially, is we're going to go ahead and see this started. So that goes right there. So what we have here is all our work together. And that's what I'm going to really like to talk about. Should I miss anything? But that's not fair, right? Because that's Git checkout. That's not what you're supposed to do. That's what people need to make mistakes and see our code live. Let's do that. So let's check out Git checkout quiz start. Okay. Git. Oops. What's it called? It is called Git start. Git checkout quiz start. Okay. Because I've done. Oh, what happens? Git checkout. Git checkout. Quiz start. And here I am in the quiz start. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close these down because these are changes from the old cheating. Alright, so this is our quiz start. If we go ahead and start it, we do the old .NET run here, 5,000. Let's see the basics of what I'm trying to achieve here, and we'll be able to see exactly what I'm trying to get to. We'll look at it together. Let's open up the web page here, and I'm going to go to the same home page. Now this, or this other case, will be the client. And there will be another page in here. Go to it first. It's home stage. Now what I'm going to do is, and this is a legitimate page at this point, is you can see the same thing. If you go now to refresh, it's still the same. Now this is your page, so I'm going to leave it that way. So I've made the index page the players page, so that people would simply go to our new fancy dancy website and see what's going on here. Now the reason why it's spinning here is something to do with my connection here, this particular connection. That's not a big deal. If you look at it here, what's going on here, go ahead and get the, there we go. Oops. Looked like I wanted to send an email. I did not want to send an email. That is not what I'm trying to do. Trying to do is going to the developer tools, so let's do that. Shut down. Is that it? Yes, yes. That's fine. What you see, unlike what you see in the developers, is that it's not connected. Information it's an underlying product that's truly what users say, well, sort of an encapsulation of this technology. With a lot of sophistication that happen to the clients later. But just think of it as an easy way of doing something. It's kind of hard to do. Alright, so let's continue on. Here we are in the formation, and here we are finally connected. So again, that's sort of a single thing right there. Yes, we're still doing the presentation. Okay, so again, there's different branches. What are we doing? Let's get rid of these areas. Alright, so here we are in our code. It's ready, and we started it with the watch. Oh, no, we did not. So let's go to the watch. So what I want to do is make a dumb server. In this situation, with a quiz, you wouldn't want to make a dumb server. You want to make a pretty smart server. With all the information coming from the server or coming from a website that has intelligence. You never want to sort of pass this information back and forth and trust that the clients are going to be nice enough to do this. So, but not in this case. Let's go ahead and open it. Now, I have gone ahead and given you, and you guys can see what's going on here, the questions are what we're doing here. So, I didn't want to spend the time. There is a model here that we're following, this model, and it's very, very basic. It's a quiz, and it's questions. This is the exact question that we're asking. In this case, it's going to be capitals, so it's going to be a country's name. The answers, the possible capitals for that country, and the context, the correct index in the array that is the answers. Which one is the correct one? Okay, so you've got to figure that out from this particular sort of array that we hard-coded into our software. Okay, so this is cool. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to add what it is that we're going to decide. So the server, there's going to be, don't think of it as the stage. There's going to be a stage, and it's going to be, there's going to be two things really that the stage is going to do. The stage is going to start and say there's time for the questions. So let's call that public. You say task, next question. Okay, so this is going to be the question that's going to be asked, and when we say this, we'll go ahead and do something on it. And we'll getting that green, of course, because there's nothing to do. So the stage is going to have one purpose in life. It's going to press a button for the stage question. It's going to grab information from the stage in this case. It's going to choose, because of what's been sent to the stage, the quiz that it answered that it's time to do, and it's going to send it to the stage. It's actually going to send it to everybody. You'll see in a second. But only the stage will be listening for it. Now, this is not the right thing if you were to monitor the information of the clients. You would see that the client is receiving this information. This is truly for the stage. But we're actually going to send a couple of things in here. We're going to be sending the answer to the clients. Well, that means the clients can cheat, but that's, again, forget about that for information. It's just simply information. We're going to send the questions to everybody. We send it to the stage, we're going to showcase the stage, and to each and every one of the clients, so that each and every single one of the clients gets a chance to answer those questions. Okay, so we'll do it in a second. But also, the next thing we're going to do, and this is pretty much all that we're going to have in here as far as classes or members, methods, is we're going to get the next answer. We're going to get a new answer. This is essentially the client voting and saying, there's a new, I have an answer for the quiz. Here it is. And that's all that's going to be in there. Now, information, let's go back to it. So let's start filling this information out. You'll see more of what's going on here. If you think about it, what I'm going to be passing here, only because I don't have the machine logic and intelligence in the server, I'm going to showcase little JavaScript skills, is I'm going to get the question index. And so this is going to be used to figure out which one of these quiz answers I should return. Okay, and how do I do that? You've seen it before, you have it in front of you if you have the code, but also if you have the chat system, what do is we can wait. Well, let's do this actually. Let's figure out if we're using all of them. So let's figure out if we've gone to the last one. Well, we're going to do the async. Wait, this is not too bad. Let's do the right one. We're going to do clients, we're going to send it all. Again, we ideally would send the questions and answers, which the stage will figure out whether you've had the right answer or not to the stage, and then only the questions without the answers, perhaps, to the individual clients. In this case, we're going to be cheating. It's simple. So we can send to everybody everything. So we're going to go send async. Set it to core. And what are we sending? We're going to be sending it a particular message that we wanted to. It's going to be sending one new question. Okay? So this is to separate itself, and then we're going to do a quiz answer. Which one of the quiz answers? Oops. We're going to do a quiz question index. That's it. As simple as that is, we have all the functionality for the button now to be pressed on the stage, or, for example, a speaker's personal computer, let's just say. They would press on the stage, they would click on that button. I'll be doing it since I'll be doing the stage right here in front of you guys. And then as that button gets sent and it says it's ready, we simply pass the next one that's ready. It's going to tell us which one it is, and I'll show you guys why I'm doing this. And again, it's just not to sort of have static variables in the server doing different like that. So we do have a question, we have a problem, which is we're passing in things like that. And what we don't know, the client doesn't know, the stage doesn't know, is how many questions there are. Only we know it's question 1. So let's protect ourselves in here. So we can say, you know what, are you sending me quiz, are you answering me more than I have? Are you sending me the next one? I'm out. So if that's the case, so if we're under that, then we're good. We've sent information. Else, what we'll do is we'll sort of send this. Here's where we're going to learn a little bit about the future is there isn't type safety in JavaScript. So we can cheat a little bit. We can just say, you know what, send a blank object. And what it will do is we'll check on the client side whether we have one of these properties of this particular object here. Okay, and as you can see in the very bottom of the server, because we're using the run, the wait run has already taken care of the fact that made some changes, I've saved it, it's ready for but there's nothing that's going to happen in this meeting, so we're just going to go there. All right, if there is a, so that was so over here we'd say, right, so what is the next question? And the first question. Okay, over here is, right, the player is here. Okay, so you'll see my future. So let's do that. It looks a lot like this. We will always have some kind of technology where to essentially return something. Now, what are we returning? We're going to be returning it really to the stage, but just for again, because we're not limiting that, we can send to everybody. We're going to say, hey, we have a new answer. Okay, so because of the fact that the method that JavaScript can call, if the JavaScript is called is sent an async, then there's a method for that. But if it's going to be sending it, there's no method for it. So I can call it the same thing. So what are we calling it? We're going to receive from the client. We can receive a couple of things. And normally we would look. There is a way to go and get to the client ID. So there is actually a client dot clients dot color. A phone call apparently. Hopefully you're not seeing it. It's not answered yet. Hello? I'm on teleconference presenting to the world. And you were listening. And you were excited. And you were wrong. Sorry about that. So there is an actual ID here. I don't know what it is, but you can actually figure out which is the stage by logging in and things like that, or setting a unique ID there. The server and the stage knows. Figure out how to send it only to that. So there is a way to do that. In this case, we're going to be, again, what are we passing? We're passing the player name, and then we're going to be passing the player's answer. Okay? And then all we're going to be doing is, since this is going to be a method on JavaScript, and we can define what that method is, we can put any parameters that we want. And we're just simply going to pass what we got passed by. Okay, so you'll see more about this. If this is making sense, just remember that this is sort of a communication back and forth between methods on the C# side and methods on the JavaScript. This will make a tremendous amount of help and wonderfulness. There is a caveat that we'll talk a little bit later as far as the names of these things, and we'll talk more about that. We'll talk about the model here. Notice this is uppercase, we'll talk about that. But for now, just remember that I can call any method on JavaScript without even thinking about it, without anything, and then just simply pass whatever parameters I want, whether it's an actual object with complex settings, or simply two strings and strings. It's perfectly fine. The system will understand it. Well, it will define what it's going to say. Okay. Surprisingly, we're done in our C# code. It's a FLA.net meetup, but that's all we have to do with C#. Right. We talk a lot about the stage. Let's look at that stage for right now. At this moment, there's not much to it. It's just simply a container with information that we're ready to go. What do we need in here? What is it that we want to show here? Now, we could show a couple of things. We talked about it before. If you look at the quiz in the C#, we have questions that are going to be passed to the stage, answers in the form of an array that we have to look for, and the correct index. Now, we don't have to show the answer. That would be silly to show up, but at least we understand that we have questions and answers. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and say div. And we're going to put in this div questions. Question. And we're going to say, what is the capital? I'm going to be saving a little bit of space here. Capital. This is going to be a quiz of. You'll see why I'm doing this. Just so I get this problems. And then we're going to do a span. And this span will have really the question. So whatever we get passed for more information, we will go ahead and showcase here. To start with, just so it doesn't show the world, just to showcase something. Okay, so that's going to be where the question appears about there. Again, because we're sort of doing something live page, we don't grab the whole question. Simply, I know the question would be what's the capital of, and then the question would be the country. So that's all I'm doing right there. Then we have a list of the answers. Answers. Okay, we have the answers, and then we have the winners. Let us do it for winners. Okay, and at the beginning, we have so far. We will overwrite all this each and every time. information. We'll look at more about the logic. Now, again, because of the fact that we want to do it as simple as possible, I'm going to put up a button here. And this button, a button here. This button's purpose will be sort of, just to skip kind of how do we start the next question. What do you do then? Let's code that. Let's make the button be on stage at this moment, just so that it's easy. Again, ideally I would have sort of a third application for which I hold. I do have for the raffle something I hold in my hand and I press the button there, so it's not a button up on the screen. So that it's simple. And we'll look at that in a second. Okay. So if we look at that as it is right now, and we hit refresh. Let's go ahead and look at that, and that's it. So as you can see, it says question is capital of the world. It's going to be capital of whatever, the particular winners and the particular possible answers. In fact, let's do that. Let's add it over here. Possible answers. Okay, so it looks a little bit better. We'll refresh the page. Possible answers, nothing at all. Winners, none so far. Okay, and we'll put it here. None so far. Simply, let's match the fonts here. All right. So how are we looking so far? Looking good. All right. So here we are. We've done the information. We've tried the answer. We're going to enter. We're going to go ahead and we're pretty much done with the front page, the HTML page. Okay, so we will have in here a question. We will update the answers, we'll update the winners, and we will wait for the button to be clicked on. And there's going to be some staging for it. What do we do on the front page? Well, again, it looks very, very similar. So we will actually, in fact, pretty much just copy and paste what we have in the index of the stage. So we will need the possible question, and then we'll have the possible answers. That's pretty much it. You have one more thing in the stage, and that would be an input where we're going to get okay, and here placeholder is. And here we say your work. And what we'll do is we'll nothing. Okay. And then again, the same idea. We have questions. We have the question itself, all the possible answers, and in the stage we will display them as text, regular board text. And this one we will make them buttons so that they're clickable. When you click on it, I'm going to be sending your answer. One of these, but because of the fact that we're not doing a sort of unique ID or something like that, let's ask you for your name, and that would be the way to do it. So let's look at that. Okay, so I'll save that over here. And this thing has changed. So on the front page, we haven't done anything much. I'm going to go ahead and see here. We haven't done anything much as far as nothing's changed on the stage, but we do have the player, and it has changed. Okay, and we'll go ahead and showcase. Has changed. This demo is taking a while because we're going to change that. Okay, so you would simply type your name here, a particular thing, and then as the questions come in here, we will go ahead and click on the question. Okay, so let's see what do we have here. Interesting. So what is the next missing here? Let's do all. Something seems to be failing here. And what's this service worker? There's no service worker there. So we'll ignore that for now. That should be good here. Let's go service worker. There's nothing. Fast. All right. So I'm not sure where we got this, but it's not something that's going to be effortless. We can still click on this and there's no problem. So we have our front page. Let's go back here. We have a front demo gods, right? We have a front page, we have a stage, and we have our quiz over here. So the back end is going to be accepting any kind of new questions. It's going to be sending everybody this new question. It's going to be accepting any kind of new answers. It's going to tell everybody new answer. Okay, so again, they did not spell this right though. It's going to be a little separation. So we're going to be we could have named it the same, but essentially, let's go ahead and do that. See what else. So we're going to be sending the next question. It's going to send everybody else a different kind of answer to the next question. The new answer was more or less the same. Okay, so we have all this whys working, right? So of course, because we have code. Again, this is the rudimentary page that you would have with JavaScript. It's both a separate one, so we don't have so we could sort of load a basic SignalR one, which would include these two things. But, for different reasons, we wouldn't, because in here we could do things like, for example, you're connected, so go ahead and sort of display the next button, or allow it to continue on. The chat information, for example, you see that the send button that sends your message doesn't come on active until this sort of connection happens, which in the case of our demo here, or demo server here, is a good idea because it seems to be taking forever. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if we can connect it there, and it is amazing. All right, so let's go back to our code here. So what is it that makes up a stage? Well, I should go a little bit player. It'll be fine. So let's go at what we need to do in a stage. So in a stage, so I have everything here for connected. On the stage, what's happening? Oops, this little player. So let's look at the stage. Again, it looks exactly the same. Right, other than the fact that I press get enter a couple of times, formatting is the exact same page. Let's do this. So the things we have to do here is we have to figure out a couple of different things. We're going to have the index. Now this is essentially a question word on. Again, I programmed it as quickly as possible so you can see it live. So I did most of the logic here in this page JavaScript page. You would want to do it on the server page probably better. It doesn't really matter. Let's figure out the right answer. Let's see if we have, we'll keep track of the right answer. It's more like the right answer index. Let's do that. And then we'll let the question time start. Equals. Now, you'll see what the purpose is here. It's a way to figure out what points to del out. Right? So we're going to do something with sort of time to let the players all vote, and you guys can actually sort of cheat. So I'm going to make it a timed event. You'll see what I do here. And we're going to keep a list of all the players here. The players being held here doesn't make sense, or because we'll also decide who's first or second. But we'll see what's going on here. So let's do a little bit of. So we do connect on. So this is again the method that we do where we're listening on the server for something that's initiated on the listening to the player on the stage on the JavaScript side for something that's happening here on the chat side. And what are we listening for? It's the next question. I'm sorry, it's the new question. So the next question. So let's go to the stage, and it says when this happens, when we get the next question, we're going to be getting a question here, and we have to figure out what to do with that question. So question, object, and let's figure out what we're doing. And just to sort of finish up what we're doing, code. Let's figure what's going on. This object is going to be this particular past object in here, which again, if we were to look at it, has this kind of method with question, answers, and correct index. Now, there's something about SignalR that's always had a short area. Well, so we have a couple of ways. What we have to do is we coded it over here that says if it's the end, don't answer with an actual object, answer with a blank. So let's sort of figure that out. Well, we can figure out, say, if there's a question, then it's a good one. Otherwise, we're end of the line. So let's program it. Okay? So if question object dot question. Now you will probably point at me and say, wait a minute, wasn't that question object in capital? And it was. Unfortunately, one of the things that it was on your own purpose or not is it's sort of, although the methods are not changed, the way you call them, the way you do invoke, the way you do it on, is the full information. but the actual questions and the objects that are coming back, the variables seem to be camel case. So the first initial letter is lowercase, even though on the server side it is not. So the object I'm sending does have a capital Q for the object, and in this case it's going to be lowercase. That is sort of taking my word for it. So in this case we've decided that that's a case. And let's program the else sort of first. And so what we're going to do, if that's the case, is we're going to be doing document, oops, document dot get. I'm going to be sending, so what's happening here is if we don't get that answer, what actually happened is we went and we finished the game. The game is finished. So what we're going to do here is answer. We're going to change the answers. This section, it's inner HTML, which is what's showing up there. We're going to be blanking it anyways, right? So we're going to be simply say, and we're going to be sort of, that's going to be the answers. And again, we are not doing anything like Angular or React or passing an object. We're in control of the HTML here, so it's okay to go ahead, even though normally we would create a bunch of things in the answers, it's okay to put a single text in this question. The question will be saying the return of the other things here, so capital of the, we'll leave it as the end of the game. Okay? So we've done everything, and what we're doing here is we're safe. If we did not get anything here, what we did is we, so we could do this every single time for this one. We could have, so in the case that we didn't get the object that we're looking for, it's the end of the game, so that's the case. Otherwise, let's blank all the answers and the question, essentially the question. We do have a question, right? So the question is this one. So this is what the object comes back, and that's the question we have to let everybody else. So that we took care. The answers. Okay, well, it's simply a matter of going through the list, and we're going to go and figure out what all the questions are. So first we're going to be blanking them. We'll see why in a second. And we're going to be answering. It's going to be answers. And what we can do here is do a for, right? It's an array that we're coming back here, so we can do this also a for. We're going to get a little fancy. This is biting me, it's going to bite me a little behind, but you'll see what I'm doing right now. I just want to show off my JavaScript skills after all the Node.js organizer for thing. And this is common to you in C# because this is going to be some manual expressions. So each one of the answers, what are we going to do with the answers? We will do something with the answers. So we will create a simple grab in HTML, the answers. Since we have them blank at this moment, we can go ahead and it's simply an array of strings, so we can simply go plus equals, that is add and constantly add and add and add and add, since we're blank here, and put the answer. That's all we've done. So I have a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more fancy, which I'm not that interested in. In the final example that you will see, if you jump ahead, you'll see that's a little bit different. So I'm simply doing almost the same thing. Okay, so what happens? We've now put in the question, we've now put in the answer. We're going to do a little bit of a trick here. We're going to go ahead and set our timer, and you'll see why in a second, to this information. So at this moment, I want to say, you know what? The exact answer the exact time that the question answer was asked essentially on the screen is going to be exactly now. So the second this gets called is when we want to start. Not the beginning of one time whenever we started. It's exactly when the call was sort of called. Because when the last question was answered is irrelevant to when this question was answered. Okay? And also we're going to find out what the answer is. So we're going to go ahead and click on that and say equals question dot answer. But after the answer, it's okay, it's smart enough to figure that out. Even the world is smart enough to figure this out. But let's figure this out. We have this particular okay? So let's figure this out. So that was what the object is right here. So it was guessing where did we get that from? Oh, I guess it was my information. So anyway, figure this out. And again, we are using camel case, so although the rest of the characters are uppercase, the first one is lowercase. Even though on our object, the object is all uppercase. So you don't want to throw you off by having this kind of a camel case in the objects. I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm glad in this case. And we're done. At this moment, the questions will be answered. The answers will be written down, the right answer, and the time will start. In fact, we can go ahead and save that, go over to the web page, and let's go ahead to the on-screen, what's going to be there, and then click on refresh, and you're going to be able to see that I can click on it, and get it there. Okay, so, I know what's going on. So this is what happens when the next question gets unnotified. But what we have to do is, there's a reason the server has never sent us the error. So this code will work, it's perfectly fine. But we have to figure out what's going on at this moment. So let's figure out when it's time. So let's go ahead and say document dot get element by ID. And what we're going to do is on the stage side, we have this button, and I was pressing it, and I was wondering what's going on here. And what's going on is I'm not listening to the video. So I'm going to say add event listener, click on that, call this function. Alright, so right there, at this moment, something's going to happen. What do we want to do? Well, you know what? I don't want it to submit that form. A lot of times when you have this, we are going to automatically submit the form. That's something that's common in JavaScript. You can listen to a click, figure out, I'll take over the click, but you're not actually preventing any kind of button click, even on a button not being put on the form. Especially if there is a form already existing. In our case, there isn't a form. We'll actually submit the form. So although in our case it wouldn't, the correct terminology way of doing it is that. So what are we trying to do here? What we're trying to do here, even though we could simply call this method, is go ahead and let the server know that that's the case. So we're going to invoke, spell this method. We're going to say, hey server, the client, the stage, wants you to do whatever it is the next version is. And what do we want to do? We want you to do this, and then it's expecting a method. It's expecting this index here. Okay, so I'm going to be calling this index, and then once this is done, once we've gotten the answer, we could, because we don't have a time issue here, but let's go ahead and wait for this to finish, and then say, okay? So we won't normally would do some code information, function, function. So whenever this button is clicked, get the next question, and update the index. And what we'll do this time is we'll refresh, we'll ignore the error that we're getting, because it has to do with the WebSockets, and we'll get the right answer. Okay, and what we're seeing here is a little bit of a mistake. So although the right answer is in here, and we're doing the thing that's correctly, we're forgetting to put the answer. Okay, so we'll go ahead and enter. Okay, so the answers. That's the case. Let's do that. So stand it up more. Okay, so do that. There's the answers, space it out, but we kind of get the information. Style is now presented to this point. So this looks good. So we have our server, we have everything that's going on. Now, the server understands where the button is being clicked, understands where the stage understands where the button is being clicked, communicates to the server goes, hey, what question would you like? The server has decided which question, sends it which question it wants, and the server replies with the right answer. The right answer, or question, answers, and actually the right answer, which is kind of right in the background. But it really doesn't do anything else there. You can go through the whole quiz, and you could be there, and you could all sort of agree on who has the right answer. But that's not really what the system is about. We have to figure out when the stage hits and says, hey, I have the question. So what I've decided to do is we're going to read the side. We're going to copy this kind of information. we're going to go ahead and say, you know, we're going to go and read what's going on. The actual client is going to be the actual player. Is going to be going ahead and telling us the next answer. So their question is new answer. So who's going to be saying that? Let's define the player name and then the index. Okay. So what we're going to do is, okay, so we're going to be doing something. We're going to go, first we're going to do is we're going to loop to update the player's score. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go and add the player if she's not there yet, because we looked at and not found anybody, and then finally we're going to list the names by score. Okay. So what we're going to do there is to list, which will require sort and loop. We're almost going to do the same thing. We're going to be doing this twice, and that's okay. So let's look at the code. First of all, to find out whether we found out. Let's figure out the player's found. Okay, we'll start with player's not. And we'll do a bit of a trick to figure out the score. And this is the trick I've been using here. We're going to be first of all, we're going to figure out the time right now. This is the date, the full date, but it is an object in JavaScript that has the number of seconds since 1969 or 1979. And then we're going to question, we're going to subtract the point the question started. So what you'll be doing here, what is it asking? Okay, so that's going to be, what should we first So that's giving me the opposite of what I want. So you'll see that what it is that a person that has really been here for like answered it almost right away. We get a little tiny number. And a person that's taken a full day to answer it, they better roll a huge number. Now, if we want to order it, we could do it backwards, but we also want to showcase this sort of number. And we can figure this out. So it's a bit of a trick that I'm using. I'm going to go and say that I want the opposite of the negative. So I'm going to choose a number. So this will be a number of seconds as I start the round. So let's choose 10 seconds. So we have 10 seconds to answer, in which case, that's it. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to just figure out right away, hey, do I have the answer within the 10 seconds? And so something that is a very short amount of time will be a higher number. And I'm going to do the following. I'm going to go and check. We're going to see if this user requires a score. Right? So let's do a couple of things. First of all, did they answer it? So let's do that. So, or the following, did they take too long? So the player's score. Let's look at the word, figure out what's going on. So the player less than 0. So if it is less than 0, then we're going to pretty much be done. Okay? We're at this moment we're going to be setting it to 2-0. Right? So if that's the case, then the player's score is pretty much. Okay? That's another reason why the player score wouldn't be right. The player score wouldn't be right. It should be 0 if it's not equal to the right answer. So if they've answered wrong or they've taken too long, well, the player score should be 0, right? So that's about it. Alright. So we have the score. We're happy with the score. It's going to be a large number if they've answered quickly and they have a large number. They can 0 out if they answer quickly with the wrong answer. So let's move on. So we have the players and we can list P will represent in this case the player. And we're going to be doing an object. The objects in this player, right now it's an empty array, but it's JavaScript. It just really go through these little things. It will not go through anything unless there's an object. We're going to be going to insert things. So it's perfectly fine. So we say, listen, did we find this player? So is this player name, right? We have a player name equal to this variable. So going through each one of them, hey, is this player found? Do we have this player out there? Again, I'm relying on the fact that the player name is new. I should be relying on, I should be doing something like, for example, finding a unique ID for each one of the players. But for now, for the purpose of this presentation, let's just use the player's name. So we found the player, and so all we're going to do is we're going to grab the player and their score. So the player score, we'll call this variable, which could be inside this object, the one that we have, is equal to what we figured out the player is. So if we found it, regardless of whether it has a good score or bad score, whatever, this will take care of it to eliminate it from the score, and we'll simply add it to it. And you know what? What happens also is we found the score. Thank goodness so let's remember that it's currently great here, so we're going to use it. You know what? We found this place. So we're good to go. And why are we finding it? So we're finding it for the next part. Oops. So we found it. But what if we didn't? So if not player found, we can do this in JavaScript, so it's false. It's not true. In this case, it's false. Well, you know what? Just grab the player. And let's push a new object. And in JavaScript, we don't have to create the object ahead of time. Do it instantaneously. I think we can do it. We will say the player is a player name. That is the variable here. So our variable inside this new object that we're adding is equal to the variable up here. This is confusing. This is and their score that we're looking for in this case is equal to this score that we figured out in this case. Right? So let's have to we're adding a brand new player because we haven't found that player. That's a player's name. Let's write it down. That's a player's score. Let's observe it. Okay? So we're done. So what we want to do then is we're going to be looping through because we figured out what's going on. What we're going to do is we're going to the players, and it's players is a complex object array of objects. And so, but we do have the sort already in JavaScript where it essentially just tells us, hey, what do you want? You have to. It's kind of I Google it all the time. Essentially, we just say player. So it's sort is it's bubble sort. It goes yes, the worst possible sort, and it says essentially this will order the highest to the lowest. If you wanted to sending, you put A minus B. You get that. Had it been a simple array of integers, an array of text, you would sort it and have nothing in there, and you would figure it out. This is the one that okay? So now we have the list of get ID. We have the players, they're sorted correctly. So you know what? Let's go ahead and update the winners list. And the inner HTML, we're going to set the blank because it's just, we don't want to overwrite the last winners. We're going to get a brand new list. We're not simply going to add it. This what we're doing is we're going to go through the list of players. Let's go here, sheet load it. And it says for each one of the players, now that we added and updated the right ones already there, we're going to go like this. We're going to go, let's say, utilize listings. So what you're going to do here, again, similar to how we put the list of answers in here, simply the winners will have not the answers, so we're not going to overwrite the winners, the answers will be the winners. What are we going to overwrite the winners with? P. What the P, the Here anyways.
I can show you
Just
some.
simply
Oops.
their
You're not going to do way
score,
less.
so, without the object property. Player gets this property. Alright, so it works good. Nothing's going to happen again. We're ready. There's no errors as far as concerned. So we have a new question. So when the next question comes in, let's go back here to see what we did. When the next question comes in, we update the list of questions. When the new answer comes in, we go through our answers. We check what the answer was that we were given right here. Did they get the right answer? If they didn't, zero it out. If it took too long, zero it out. Otherwise, update their information, and if they didn't sort it by the price, score, and we went ahead and erased the list of winners. Last score, our list of winners has been updated with the list of the page, and then we add the winners. Believe it or not, we're done with our stage. So we're going to do kind of the same kind of information here around our players. We're going down to the basic, we're simply connecting to the server in the link, it was this gets
it's like a good range. It's definitely not wrong. It's just like, we wanted to get this feature out super quick. So
they confirm that they've connected and that they're not going to pay out. One of the things that they do here is decide they're going to be voting. So when they vote, how are they going to vote? So that's good for the they're going to place them. They're going to be voting by, there's going to be a so there's a brand new question. When there's a brand new question, do this, and do the same kind of let's look at this. One small change. We look at player. So in the reason question, we are doing the same kind of thing, right? We're erasing the answers that was already there, we're putting all the information, and that's it. And that will work just fine. And in fact, we can go ahead and save that. Go ahead and refresh that. And as we see that figure-eight display, we're going to see that as I get the next question here, you'll be able to get instantly the next question there. So the client's ready, but the client can't really choose that. They can't really communicate back to the server their vote. So how are we going to do it? It's a little bit of an easy way to achieve a little bit. Sort of basic. We can do a button for each one of the questions. Instead of questions, we're going to go, let's do a, getting a little bit beyond ourselves. So let's do this. Let's do a brand new version. EX6 words. More Convention Explorer. This does work in Explorer. We're going to do a vote, and we're going to do a button. You click this button. We're going to be on a vote. This method that we're going to be using ourselves. And in here, what we're going to do is we know who we are as a player, because when we're looking at the players, we just need to know, we know what question it is, because there's already someone else that keep track of the questions. So the stage already keeps track of the question. The server does not know, but the stage does. And so we just need to communicate who we are, looking at that name, and then simply say what vote is. So what's our vote in this case? So our vote in this case, that we're going to have to do at this moment, is the a.index. So here's where the information kicks my dot. Okay, so we're doing question index. We're doing a math. And we have done a for loop. It's the I. For I equals where list. So we could do that, or we can utilize what we have, some learning experience. We can see that this now is very where we are. First time will be 0, the next time will be next. So we keep trying. A more sophisticated system would have the question text and the question, the answers. A unique ID that says, random numbers that you can guess at the number or whatever the case may be. So, but this variable now holds what we're looking for. We want to vote in here. And you'll see much more what's going on in here in just a second. So we finished the button. So the button click is there. Let's go ahead and do this. This is the answer, and then we finish our button. And so if you look at it carefully, what happens is a button that when clicked on will call a method called vote with a single index. There's no single open click. So it will be an integer. And that integer will be the button index. Like it's at the 0, it'll be the first, the 1, 0-based index. So, and this will count to 1. Okay, so that's it. We're done. If we want to go ahead and refresh this page, so ready to play, refresh this page, and then when we get the button over here, you can see the buttons over here, and they're calling a method that doesn't really exist in your system, but it's not errand. Okay? Oh, it is. So like they can just be in the pot, like let's fix it. So let's go ahead. We've done everything we need to here. Let's go vote. Right. So a function called vote with the function x. It's passed, and we can do something. What are we doing? Really, what we're doing is we're going to communicate with the server. So there was a vote. The server then will communicate to the stage, which is the only way to go to the stage. After all, we don't have connection from the stage to flight, any other way to play. So we're going to communicate with them. We're going to do connection. Vote. We're going to and then check over here. Let's go ahead and call it new answer. What are we going to pass with the new answer? We're going to pass a couple of things. The answer is supposed to receive a couple of different things. A player name and a player's name. Alright, so a player's name. We must have that somewhere here. And which answer? It's the index. Oops. Let's call it index, but in this case, our answer. Okay.
I think they come with this
and that's it. We don't have to do anything else. Now, we don't have the players name. We have the players names. Oops. We could do it then to figure out that we've done. Let's do that. Then function. Function. Document. Override all the answers. Something that's HTML. That's an answer. Right. So it's positive as possible. Okay, well, we have everything working right now. That will work, but there's a problem. There's no player name. Okay, well, let's define that. Documents. Document. And what are we doing? Let's look at the stages page. The stage has this record. And this one is we want that has the information. This is what the actual page didn't know. What the customer was actually written. We should do some code where the customer, the player hasn't been involved, and we should do something about it. But we'll be able to. All right. So we have, I think, this. So let's go ahead and test it out. Let's go back to it together. And whenever the client sees the next question, it takes care of it and displays an report. We test it out. If it gets to the end of the game, we get to the end of the game. We test it out. Whenever there's a vote, the player will get the player's name, the player in this group and down, and your name information. We're going to invoke the new message information with the player's name, which we have here, and the player directs we get at the top. And then we're going to sort of erase the answers just for the people saying there. And then we are good to go. So let's check it out. Alright, so we'll refresh the page. Refresh the page. Refresh here on the server here. It's going to take a little bit of time here on the server. And we're going to see that there is a couple of clients. Let's see the page. See what's going on here. And we are good to go. So let's make this Mike. And let's make this Jack. This guy, whenever he comes in here, will be far under. Okay, just something fresh here. Although we're going to get that error message about the red stuff, but it wasn't it's confirmed. Click on the next question and get question. What we do here is we're going to showcase that by separating these words. And we'll see that each one of the players has a separate question that they're coming from. Okay, so here, so this is our example. A lot of people can work on it here. That's what we want to go as well. This.
20 minutes.
Here we are. That's everybody that we have in the room. We have 3 players playing. Yes, to join us. Mike, yeah, there's no signs. I'm going to go ahead and press the next answer. And everybody saw this person's going to choose this vote, this one's going to choose this vote, this one's going to choose this vote. And the second happened. You should be seeing alright, so we didn't mistake. What happens is right away the answer should come. So we should get the all players now. So let's hit stage. This is players now. We know that it is connected at the same time. So we're putting about information. We can do chapter 1 here. Michael on a different computer here. And they're all way back. They all have it. Click on this message and you can see all 3 of them at the same time. You can answer the right answer. Each and every second questions. As you can see, live answer and see the information.
I know.
10 seconds. Don't even realize it that long. For the 30 seconds. And you can see the Jack, which answered first, as the highest order. Now we're going to continue that now, and we're going to continue answering to here. Let's see that. Next question. Next question. Everybody gets the next question. You can see that the prices are updated. Still going back and forth, and Jack is still getting this with such a high interest. Let's go ahead and go all the way across, and all the way through until the break. All the same. And we are done. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. A pleasure in all yours. Damian Montero. You can find me more at twitter.com/SignalR. Of course, it's not space in there. This is simply for you to. If you want to see more of this video, in fact, you can actually see me recording this at the coffee shop next to my house. Very, very exciting if you want to see that. You can also find more information and remind me presenting a different presentation, more to do with web and SignalR at the SF Code Camp. SF Code Camp is definitely a .NET place, so definitely join and then join again, and then make sure your mom and grandma also join. If you want to go ahead and join me over at the raffleon.azurewebsites.net, we're going to raffle out this week's information. Okay, so raffle R, it's all go there, and we'll see what's going on. But for now, for this presentation, we'll end it right now, and you can see more about it later. Thank you for joining.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, right now,
Bye.
you can